Okay. Hello, welcome to today's webinar for Yapla Newsletter. Today we'll be addressing Yapla Newsletter training number 3. So in order to learn how to analyze the performances of your mailings. Today we're joined by Isabelle, who is a member of Cake Mail's team. She'll be here to present the different functionalities that allow you to better understand the performances of your newsletters and how exactly you can use that information to enhance your future newsletters and your general processes.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Mathieu. So I'm going forward with that. So yeah, we discussed already on the webinar, we discussed already the content, which is a part very important, and we already discussed the contact. And now we will discuss the performance. It's something that is less used. Sometimes the people, they're creating a beautiful campaign, they're taking care of their list, and they're sending their campaigns without any look hereafter to the performance of what they've sent. So today we will address that, and I will review the content. So Mathieu and Isabelle, so now our presentation. So first we will discuss a bit of the vocabulary, which is important, so we know what we're talking about. What is a good performance? The terrible question. There's no right answer, but we will help you to get a better answer into that. The performance review. So what are the positive data, what you are aiming for, trying to reach? And the negative data, we call it often the list hygiene, because negative data is often caused by issues with the list. Calculation and limitation. I've done a beautiful board that I will just show you. I will not talk about everything, but you will have access to it after. And then we will review each metric. I will show you how to export the data into the application and how to use this data to optimize your performance. So let's start. So active contact. What is active? Actually, a contact is active when they receive the email. There's something to mention here. Normally, a contact active means the contact looks like it's active, but he's receiving the email. So I'm sorry, there's a bit of noise into the presentation. Thanks a lot. Sorry, I had difficulties to concentrate. Perfect. Unsubscribe. So the contact has opted out from the mailing list. So they unsubscribe, they just click a link and they no longer want to receive your contact. The feedback loops. The feedback loops is basically a spam complaints. This is a message that has been sent by the email recipient, for example, the Gmail company, to the email provider, to tell them that one of the person using their address have received an email, and they're complaining that they don't want to receive this information. So this is a very important data to look at. Beware, I mentioned a little bit. Active is the name of the contact that you're able to send to. But if a contact hasn't reacted with your email for a long time, they might be inactive. So they're not reactive to your content. So they're kind of false active contact. Why it's important to remove them? Because they can affect your performance. If you're sending to a list and the interaction, the engagement with your list is not very strong, it can cause issues in further deliveries. So the email providers can tend to deliver less and less of your emails, because at the other end, your recipient doesn't look as interested in your contact. And for them, it's a sign that your content might not be relevant or your list might not be updated. The hard bounce. email address is invalid. If you change email provider, if you change email software, it won't change anything. A hard bounce means the address is invalid, so there's no way that it will magically become valid. It's important to understand that. A soft bounce is temporary. So it might be a full inbox. Person is on vacation. It has a maximum of a number of gig into his mailbox. You're trying to reach it is blocked. An email is blocked. You look suspicious. There might be a block on your domain for a while. There might be some kind of incomprehension. So the email is blocked, but it's temporary. That means it can be unblocked. And there's also can be a DNS failure. So the domain is not reachable for a while. It doesn't recognize the domain for a moment. So don't those are issues that are less important, but be sure to understand that especially in Yapla newsletter, 4 soft bounces equal an R bounce. So after 4 times that we're trying to send your email and it's always a soft bounce, we will no longer try to send this email. If the person is coming back and they say, hey, I'm not receiving your email anymore, and then you look at the problem and, for example, you contact us and we help them resolve the problem. If it's a soft bounce, we can unlock it and we can register again the person to receive your email. So make sure that you have a difference. Hard bounce is there's nothing to do. The email address is no longer valid, and a soft bounce is temporary. Like spam complaints, the bounce, they can affect your reputation. This is the same thing. It's why it's important to send emails regularly to your list, because it's normal that over the months, over the years, the emails will no longer be relevant, no longer be valid. The people, they change job, they cancel their account, they're moving in their life, so their address might become invalid. So if you send regularly, you will have a small number of hard bounce every time, which is normal and which won't affect anything. But if you send rarely to your list and you start to send and you have a large number of bounce, this is going to be a sign that your list might be a problem, and it can cause you issues with the companies that are managing those emails. For example, with Videotron or with Gmail again, because you might appear as suspicious and not maintaining your list. So beware of the number of bounce. As I say, sending regularly will automatically get rid of those bounces, and a small level is normal and nothing to worry about. Contact activity, let's talk about more positive data. So the opens, the number of times an email was opened, the click, the number of clicks on a link within the email. Sometimes a person says, I have no click. Is there a link to click? Is there a button to click? Does this button appears at the end of a very, 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 very long email? So it's really important for you to have different call to action. So the person that are receiving your email, the people that are receiving, they have different call to action to interact with your content. The clicks are a way for those people to tell you, yes, this content is interesting for me. The click to open rate, so this is the ratio between the two numbers. It might be one person who's clicking all your links, or many people that are clicking on a few links. So basically what you're looking for is having many people clicking on your links, not only one person clicking on all your links. Beware of complaint rate. So the percentage of contacts submitted a spam complaint, again, it can bring some attention, bad attention to your account. And the unsubscribe rate, the same thing. The percentage of contact who unsubscribed after receiving the email. Normally, the subscribe rate should be pretty the same. You know, the person should receive your email month after month or week after week, and there should be about the same number of people that would unsubscribe. For example, your service is no relevant to them. They no longer want to be member, or they no longer want to receive your content. If you have a very high unsubscribe rate on an email or high unsubscribe rate, what happened with your content? Did you change your regularity? Were you sending every month and then you start to send every day? It happens to me, and I just unsubscribe for those communication. I was opting in to get a monthly or a weekly newsletter, and when I start to receive a daily report, it doesn't interest me anymore. There's too much information. So be careful. The unsubscribe rate is a sign of you've made something different, and look of what's happening with that. The list performance. So the delivery rate is the percentage of emails that are successfully delivered. That meaning there's no issues, no technical issues. The one that would not be delivered is the bounce rate. So the percentage of email who have not been delivered for different issues. So those are the indicators of the list hygiene. Again, if you have the regular information about this, if you have a regular hygiene, about this, you should have a pretty similar delivery rate and bounce rate, email after email. The open rate and the click rate. So you're looking for a high percentage of email open, and the click rate, a high percentage of email that have been clicked. Those are content indicators. So if the person are interested into your content, they will open your email, and if the person are interested into your different content into the email, they will click on your content. So those are relevance indicators of the content that you are doing for your audience is interesting them. Click performance by URL. You will see some of the URL will have a lot of clicks, some of them will have less. Basically, people are a bit lazy. So what is above the fold, as we say, so the upper part of the screen without having to scroll will have normally a high number of rate. The ones that are on the bottom will have normally a lower number of rate. It's why having concise content into an email will help for this. Don't try to talk about everything in the same email. Segment your content to have different content sent, so you will interest your people on different contents every time. And obviously, if you don't have anything to click on except the unsubscribe, don't expect to have a click rate performance. Heat map I will show you a little bit later. So this is a visual representation of the most click area. So it's a nice way to see the activity on an email. Question, what is good performance? Very difficult to answer. Why? Because it depends on so many different things. So you can aim for at least 20%, general benchmark. You should have that. You're working for organization. Normally, your open rates are much better than the one that are for selling stuff, because you're working with your members, the people are engaged with your content, but there can be some difference. Industry, we talked about this, the content. If you're sending an invite for the best event that everybody's running to, I mean, your open rates will obviously be very high. If you're sending an email to try for a subscription, not a subscription campaign, but a funding campaign, and you're contacting people you haven't talked to for the last years, I mean, then your open rate you can expect will be quite low. So it depends on the content, depends on the engagement with this content and the engagement with you as an organism. Good click rate. So the number of clicks per email, good click rate, 2%, 5% is good. Again, call to action and make them visible, make them available, and make them on different kind of content so you understand and you see what is interesting. Complete rate, I put my little room there because we're talking about list hygiene. So the number of spam complaints per email, the complaint rate should be below 0.1%. Why? If it's higher than that, you will awake the industry, and they will look at what you're sending, and you will appear to be suspicious because you're using a list that people or content that people don't want to receive. So it's important. This is a very important number. Hardbound rate, number of hard bounces per email. Understand that it's on the hard bounce, less than 1%. Again, having a high number of hard bounce appear to be suspicious and can cause trouble for your deliverability. It's important. Unsubscribe rate, this number should be, there's no reason this number should be high unless you're sending to a list you haven't sent to for a very long time, or unless you've changed something radically and the people that are receiving your email doesn't know what to do with it anymore. Here I've done a lot of information that I put there. I will just mention 2 things and I will leave the rest for you to have a look at it. This is interesting. This is the calculation and limits of those different rates, but I will show you 2 things that are important. The open rate. The open rate is based on a tracking pixel. So pixel is a transparent image that is put into your email. You don't have to do that. Naturally, it's in when you're using a system like Yapla Newsletter. This tracking pixel will load when the email is opened, when the images are showing up. So if the user is not displaying the images, it was happening more in the past when people were using non-image browsers, things like this. Now it's quite rare. Most of people have smartphones using their computers, so most of the time they will appear. So you will have the open rates. There's limits also on the other side. If the person is using a browser, for example, Outlook, who is displaying automatically, there's a view mode into Outlook that is loading automatically all the image. They make them appear as open. So your email might appear as open even though the person hasn't put their eyes onto it. So the open are already a little bit difficult to have the right number. It gives you a good idea, especially if you're looking campaign per campaign and if you're comparing your campaign. So those open rates from one to another campaign, it will give you good indication about your success, but the absolute number might not be exact. And for the rest, I sent you a little bit more information. I invite you to have a look at it. So you can evaluate each metric. Wait at least 48 hours after you've sent the campaign. Why? Because in the first minutes, you're going to have people that will click on it, some people that will open it. You will have also all the automated opens, like the browser, that are displaying that by default. But some people might look at them on their phone and say, oh, I will take time to read that tonight or this afternoon on my computer. So leave at least 48 hours to have the best numbers of your success for a campaign. After that, your email might be at the very bottom of their mailbox and they might not be accessible anymore in their mind. So after that, the numbers won't change anymore, but give you a little bit of room at the beginning to see when you've set the campaigns, but you will have the numbers updated automatically in the system. So success, you look at the opens and the clicks, worry about obviously the delivery, complaints, unsubscribe, and bounce. You can export, analyze, and use your data. I will show you after everything into the app. So export, you can extract all the data activity for further analysis, see what you want to do with that. You can, by using that, compare from one campaign to the other one, what are your success, and be careful to compare things that are comparable. If you're having a newsletter and then you have a subscription campaign and then you have an invitation for an event, you might have different data because the content is different and might attract different people different activities. So it's interesting, but make sure that you're analyzing things that are comparable. Analyze exported data so you can look campaign performance from campaign to campaign and even your links. And then the thing that is very interesting and that we'll review now, it's to use data for future campaign. So you can segment and optimize your future campaign based on the content that is open or not open, or clicked or not clicked. So let's go into the app and see what's going on with this. So here I have my Yapla account. So this is my demo account. So here I have my dashboard information. So what we will review now, we will review what is under the campaign tab. So on the first thing you have, those are the sent campaign. So those are the campaigns that have already been sent. If you go into the outbox are all the campaigns that are planned, that are programmed for future to be sent in the future. So this is your outbox. Those are all the campaigns that have been planned, for example, for this afternoon, tomorrow, in 2 weeks, in a month. So they will appear that as outbox. So they're ready to be sent. They're prepared. And the draft, as the name says, those are the campaigns that you are working on, preparing. So if I go into my send campaigns, I've used the campaign and I've sent a campaign. So we will review all the report and all the information directly into the app. So I'm clicking on view report. So here's a campaign. The content is in French, but it's not relevant here in this example. So we will look only at the numbers. So it was sent on November 4. You have the time, you have the number of subscribers it has been sent to, and the name of the list. So every time there's something that is underlined, you can click on it to access it if you need more information. My open rate is very high. Obviously, this is a campaign I sent from me to me for this example. So don't worry, you can have lower open rate. This is only for this example. Sometimes you will have very high open rate. There's some things that the people are expecting. And as I said, as an organization, you can get a very exciting tracking and a very exciting results. So it's very interesting to see that. The percentage also, I just mentioned it, but obviously you know it. I have 34 people that have opened my campaign, so my rate is very, very high. If I would have a list that is 10 times bigger than that, 100 times bigger than that, or 1,000 times bigger than that, this open rate might be much more difficult to reach. So when you're looking at your numbers, compare things that are comparable. So very good open rate, 94.44%. I have 34 people that have opened, 35 total open. What does it mean? 1% open it twice. You have here the average. So I can compare better than my average in the last campaign that was only 84%. My click rate. Here, same thing. My absolute numbers, my percent are very good. My absolute number are very small, so much easier to attain this. I have 4 people who have clicked, and I have 8 click total. What does it mean? Some people obviously have clicked on more than one link. Again, here I have my average. What is interesting here? I have the number of clicks for every URL used in my campaign. So here, this link 5 clicks, this link 2 clicks, and this link 1 click. So I can look and see the access and the interest for each link in my campaign. So for example, if you're having 2 events, you can see what even brought more interest, which one was more clicked for the registration, for example. If I'm clicking on the heat map, I will show you because it's a nice way. I have only a couple of links, so I'm into that. This is my whole newsletter. And you see here, it's a heat map. So it goes with the heat. So the warmer the color, the more click I got. So here, this was the link that was the most click, which is red. And then if I go a little bit lower, this link, I got a click. This link, I got even less click. And then when I go down, I don't have any click. So it's a very nice way, in a quick way, to see the link as activity. And non-surprisingly, I have more activity in the top of my email than in the bottom of my email. So it gives you a nice idea. If you have a report to present and you don't have a lot of time, or you want to have something catchy and visual, you can use this heat map. It's a fun way to display the information. The clicks per unique open again. So you have the number of clicks per unique. So if I have more than one people who have clicked on more than one link, it will appear here. The unsubscribe rate, oops, I have one person who have unsubscribed. Perfect, no worry, it's possible. And you much hope and prefer an unsubscribe than a spam complaint. 100% more, because an unsubscribe won't affect anything of your reputation. A complaint will affect it. Delivery rate, I'm sorry. So those are the email I have delivered. So it was quite good. I have an email that have bounced. If I look lower, this is not a hard bounce. So this is a soft bounce. So I have here one email, soft bounce, temporarily reason. So I have a little bit more information about all of this. So it gives me an idea. Every place where you have it is underlined, you can click and access to more information. I will show you the second board. So here I have the performance. So this is my campaign performance. And here I have my contact activity. What does it mean? It means that I have all the information about my contacts in my list. So those are the 37 contacts that have been emailed. Those are the 34 contacts that opened this email. And those are the 4 contacts that have clicked and how many times they've clicked. So this is very nice, especially because I have an idea of the device on what that they use to click. So some people were asking me, do we know that? I mean, this is not the complete data, because you cannot have this precise data for the open or for the send to, because the browser now, they're hiding this information in a more general way, but for the click is pretty accurate. So it gives you an idea, but especially it gives you an idea of what happened. I have here the unsubscribe. So Monique decided that she no longer received my email. Perfect. She's removed automatically from the list, by the way, with the system. So this is very important. The act on unsubscribing is very important. If a person asks to be unsubscribed, it should be processed immediately. No one complained as spam. And here I have my email that was blocked. So the server of this person blocked this email. If you're facing this kind of issue, it's important to make a difference between an email that is blocked for one reason and all your email, for example, that have been blocked at one server. For example, if all your email are blocked at Gmail, all your email are blocked at Videotron, or if you have a very high number of emails that are blocked. So it's important to look. If it's here, it's a soft bounce. We've seen it. It's an email block. It should not be a big issue, and we will send it our next campaign and see if everything is going well with that. Here you can see for the outbounds and the soft bounce. So here I have an email address. The number is not loading there, but I have an address that is bounce. I can export here all activity. So if I export it here, it will appear in my export. So I already done it. So it will appear on all my results for this campaign. So this is my campaign activity export, and all the activities, so all the click, all the open, all the bounce will appear in this campaign activity. If I want to have the results of all my campaigns, I will go back into my campaigns tab. And here I have the export tabs, and I can export all my campaigns information. So it will provide me with everything that is done yet. So here are for the export. Then I will just go back a little bit further because I want to show you something. So for example, if I go into the click and I go to see, for example, Cal, if I go into the user, I have an information about its own activity. So recipient per recipient. So here he received one email, he opened it, and then he has done 3 clicks on this email. So very excited about my great content. If I go into here, details, I have the details about the contact. If I click on activity, I see exactly what interested him, the campaign that he opened, when he subscribed, and when he updated. I will have all this information for all of my users. So if I go back into my list, here by default in my list, I have a filter. So I have only the active contact. If I click on the little garbage bin, I'll remove that. And then I see this one is pending. What does it mean? It means that I'm using double opt-in. This person has asked for a subscription. They received their email, but they never click on the link. So I'm still waiting for them to confirm their subscription to my list. Here, those are contacts that are active. Those are contacts that are unsubscribed. Here too, Monique, we've seen that she unsubscribed. If I click on Monique, I look into the activity and I see subscribe, update. She opened the campaign and she decided that content was not for her. So she immediately unsubscribed from my list. So it gives us a little bit of information about the users. What is interesting here now that we can use is how can we use immediately? So we can use this data, we can export it, we can have a look at it, we can compare, but how come we could use it immediately? So if I go into my list, I will use this list again. I will just look at everything that is there. So I have my unsubscribe, I have everything. So what if I create a segment based on the activity? So I click on the segment, and then I'll say, for example, relaunch or second, for example, second attempt. Example, I'm sending them an event for I'm sending them an invitation for an event, and I've seen that some of them have clicked on the link, some of them have not, or some of them have opened or not my contact. So what I can do is I'm using the select. I already demo the segment based on the tag. So based on the tag, that means that you can create a segment based on certain tags. For example, if you want to send something to your members, if you send something to everybody who has participated in an event that you've done, today I want to address this on email activity. For example, if I want to say, I want to send an email to the people who did not open my last campaign. So here I see this person hasn't received it, obviously, because they're pending. Those persons are unsubscribed. So even though I'm trying to send them again, they won't receive it. And this is important to maintain. This is the law. They unsubscribe. I won't send them anything. So don't worry, you can leave them there. It won't be sent to. The person that is pending, it won't be sent neither, unless she has confirmed its email before we send it to. Here, we have those persons that are active but didn't open my email, and this person was a soft bounce. So this is a very small portion of the list, so I can show you it, but you can create it whatever the size of your list is done. So I want to relaunch, for example, I had an event and I really want them to at least open the invite. So I create something that email activity did not, and then I pick the campaign. So those person will be grouped under this activity. So when I want to send, I can send only to this segment. So you've seen the soft bounce will be sent to and the active email will be sent to. So if you want to re-stimulate your audience, but don't want to bother the ones that you've already know that they've opened the campaign, you can use that. For the same reason, you can create a segment on the people, for example, invite, fundraising meal. So I want to send this to the people. I will use another list for this example. I want to send this to the people who have participated in, or who have opened some other campaigns that I've sent. So, for example, I'm looking at email activity, and the people who have opened my campaign, that is a tasting event. So this event, I want to ask them if they want to come to my next, or I can pick another. So email activity, I've opened this, also a tasting event. So in July, so this will group all the people that have opened my previous campaign. So this is really interesting because you already know that they have an interest for this kind of content. So instead of sending to the whole list, you can try and segment this. Or you can, for example, send on the first group of your subscribers, like everyone, and then after you segment to base your new content on the activity. I will cancel this and I will show you for the same thing. I can create a segment and I can base it on the link activity. So I will use this list. Oh, sorry. I will use the list that I've just used. And then the link activity, this is the campaign that I've just sent you. So this is the last campaign. And I've seen all my links are there. So if, for example, Maison des Familles was a link to invite them to subscribe to this, I know that they've done this. So I can say, okay, so they've clicked on this or they did not click on this list. So if I really want them to see that, I can send a campaign and tell them, okay, so in this campaign, all those who haven't clicked on this, I will send them, I will try to convince them more. So you can send them a reminder, another campaign. Be careful. I would not send the exact same topic on the top, because it will look a little bit like a mistake. So you can change a little bit the object and say something. For example, we thought you might be interested into that. We thought you have not. We thought that you might not have seen this, and so you can stimulate them by using a slightly different object, so they won't, when they see it in your email box, it won't appear as it's the same content that you resend them, and it's not a mistake, but it's something that is dedicated. Or if you have, for example, you have an annual report and you need everybody to read it, so you can send a campaign, and on the link you can identify this link, and if they haven't clicked on the link, you can send a campaign to all the people who haven't never clicked on the link, and then send another campaign to all the people who haven't clicked on the link. Don't send it 10 times, but I mean, you won't bother the people who have already clicked, so you can expect that they've read this. But the people who have not, still haven't clicked on the list, you might find a way to see, to stimulate the way that they see the information important that you've done. So this is the condition. You can use them. You can base your condition on the plus and. For example, did not click on this campaign and did not click same campaign on. For example, you had two links to link to the same thing, so this event. So the or would be adding, and the and will be the intersection on both. So it can help you to segment your thing. Little comment at the end, you can do it like just write it down very quickly, what segment you want to create, and then create it after. It's going to help you to understand how to plan it. So voila, here is the lot of material on this topic. I hope it was interesting for you. I invite you to review the app, review all the different things, and don't hesitate to contact the Yapla team or Cake Mill team if you have any question about it. So I don't know if Mathieu has some question.
No, I think everything has been answered. Maybe just a confirmation that in regards to soft bounds, there's nothing to do on the client side. It's really taken care of by Cake Mill.
Yeah, the soft bounce. If it's something like it's happening to one email or two, there's nothing to worry about. If you soft bounce to all, like all your email, for example, in cakemail.com are soft bouncing, contact us just so we can have a look at it. But if not, a soft bounce is something that is very temporary, and there's no problem with that. And if it's a hard bounce, I mean, there's nothing to do with it. It's the email is not good, but you should not have, unless you haven't used your list for a very long period, you should not have a lot of hard bounces into it. So use it regularly. It will clean itself on a regular basis.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much, Isabelle, for all that knowledge and the information in regards to your context-based hygiene and the best practices for understanding the performances of the newsletters that are being sent out by Cake Mill. And like Isabelle said, if you have any question, feel free to get in contact with the Yapla team or the Cake Mill team. We're working together in order to answer all of your questions and in order to improve the services we're offering. So thank you so much for today's webinar, Isabelle. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. And we'll most likely have another webinar coming in the future.
Yeah, we have another webinar coming in the end of November, which is on automation, email automation. So this is the next level of everything that we've talked about in the previous webinars.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.